Hey, coming off a obviously really good win for our program, tight game, and we're able to get that thing done in Seattle. Hopefully it gives us some confidence going into another tough weekend here. This little stretch of 3 on the road, start with Oregon State on Thursday, and then quick turnaround play Oregon Saturday at 2, I believe. So looking forward to it.
Coach, what just in general do you think has made it so tough for teams to win on the road this year? I mean, you talk about Oregon State, Arizona went there and lost. You guys are one of the only teams that really haven't had the quote-unquote major road struggles, kind of with the exception of Cal.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say Cal was a big Colorado chance. Colorado and Utah wasn't pretty. Colorado we had a chance, but Utah got us pretty good. I don't know. It's been funny because I think year over year it's been a little different. I think last year, where there was a lot of road wins, or one of those last few years, but it's just always tough. Different environment, good teams. Tend to play better at home. Everyone plays a little better at home, but I couldn't put my finger on it necessarily.
You just kind of look at that Utah game. What do you think it does for the confidence of the guys? Not only just to win, but to win like that, a hostile environment. You're down early. You know, they had just blown out Utah. They obviously have a pretty big offensive punch, and then you kind of steady yourself. You balance out the second half, and then even then when Wood hits the 3 and you guys again could have folded, you don't. And it just seems like that's different maybe than years past, where that would be one of those games where you look at it and that drops the Ken Palm luck because you lose by 2.
Yeah, no, I think that's why I said it's year over year as you get better, more. Even though we have a lot of new faces, I do think some of the same coaches kind of build the program there, and I think that's just the growth of this team from where we were. Cal up 7 with 2 minutes and gave that one away to where we're down 5 with, I don't know, was it 4 minutes or whatever, and had it really easy to give in, and we kind of did. That's what we did at Colorado a little bit, just kind of made some bad decisions down the stretch, and this time just I think with the experience they've been getting better, and I've said all along, I said, well, I was talking to Miles yesterday, it's just like his improvement has been, I don't know, I'm sure people notice it, but just in those situations, just as I said, you've proven that you can score, you yourself. I said, what's going to make us better if you become more of the maestro, the conductor, and he's done that, and even the fact that, he turned one over, we're down 1, but he came back and made the big play to hit Isaac on that to send it to overtime. So those are just, he seems like he puts it in the memory bank that, like, hey, I've been here before, now I'm going to make a better decision. He's not going to be perfect, but I think that's kind of accelerated the process.
With Kamani the last couple of games, we hadn't seen him a whole lot. He comes into that game, plays a big role, bunch of assists, and then obviously I think the thing that stands out is him on Wheeler on that last possession in overtime, just completely locking him up, burning most of the clock. How much do you think it kind of speaks to what he's capable of when, after not playing, you can plug him into a situation like that and he can come up with a huge defensive stop?
I'm as proud as anybody about it's really hard to do what he's done. He was starting as our point guard, and then he struggled a little, but it wasn't much. Just our best chance to be the best thing we can be was get Jalen in there and put Miles at the 1 and see how that went. It's gone well, and obviously that's going to rattle you a little bit. Kamani didn't come over here to necessarily play this role, but he's a great teammate. The guys love him, and he wants to win. He wants to help the team, and he's probably the second piece. If he gives us more that just steady play and gives us something different off the bench, like I said, perimeter defender, we're lacking those. It's not our strength. And what he did, like I said, the last play, guards Wheeler, we don't give up the 3 there. And, he's going to regain his confidence, his footing a little bit. So, again, if we're going to do something here, we need everyone getting better, and that's a nice piece to have.
Coach Shaw was not on the bench the other day in Seattle. Do you have any update on him? Seeming to be back?
I think he's back. It's just precautionary stuff, and it's nothing major to get anyone worried about out there. So we could say our defense suffered. I was so mad. You're so calm on the bench. I said, no, I was like, I'm happy we won, but I'm going to get an earful. I'm going to get an earful of Coach Shaw about how we didn't guard well enough, and he was right. But I said, not to make excuses, but Utah's pretty good offensively, and they are good. And Brooks is really good.
You were just talking about Kamani. How I think it seems like he gives you a little bit different of a look than Jalen gives you in terms of the defense. Is that just like an offensive defense thing with him and Jalen, or how do you kind of pick the spots?
No, you know what's funny is that I kind of put him in there for Isaac at times. My first sub is go in there, and him and Miles on the floor, like playing like the top of the floor, it's a trailer, high-low stuff, because he'd really operate there, and that's a hard place to guard him. And then when Miles out, he's playing the point. So it's and it's more the he just balances. Here's our best passer. He's our guy that looks for this stuff, and he gives us a little slashing that and in a little low post game. So and the more confident he gets, it does get us different look. I mean, Andre and Jalen are pretty much shooting wings, and they can put on the floor, do some things, but Kamani's a little different look.
Yeah, I think he's talked about how like his journey from JUCO to Big Sky to here, like a lot of that makes up who he is, just in terms of feeling like he's underlooked and he's capable of playing at a level like this. How do you see that like come out in him, just this mentality that like he's trying to prove himself?
I think it's interesting because you can't get inside someone's head. Like, but to me, watching the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a high major player, talent, length, athleticism, skill. But he hadn't been there. He's got to go through the process of accomplishing things, and then I think once, like the Utah Colorado game, played well on the road. He just then he kind of struggled at home against the Oregon schools, and then he kind of popped out of it. Now he's there's a definitely, you belong in feeling quality, and it's like everyone's journey's different, and his is unique for sure. And I love, Jalen, same deal. Like, I can see that these guys, it's hard one to sell to people, like, yeah, he's a Division II player, and now he's like a Pac-12 starter. Yeah. He's a JUCO, Big Sky, like, no, he's a Pac-12 starter, maybe all league, probably all league player. So, but they got to do it. They got to believe it and feel it. And I'm just kind of both unique guys that are just they're grinders, man. They want to be good.
Is part of you like grateful that he did go a little bit underlooked so you could get him at this point?
Well, I don't like admitting this, but we were trying to get him before we went to Idaho. We were real late to the party, and I was like, and I knew, I was like, we just, it wasn't, it's like, so I'll just leave it at that. We were late to the party. But Deshaun, Isaac, and Muhammad would have been pretty special last year, or just two of the three. Just two of the three would have been pretty good. And I say it all the time, but we're really happy to have him. He's good, and part of the Idaho experience got him to where he is now. But if we had him 2 years, because the big jump is like after, like it's all kind of, he did play Division I, so it was good. Yeah. But that jump after you go through the league and you're like, okay, now I got 6 months to get ready for the next one, is when a guy like that can really make a big jump.
You mentioned Isaac, and then it's kind of funny to think about, had he come here the first year, there's always the chance that someone else sees him, kind of the way you guys do.
That's true.
When you kind of look at the NIL support, what do you think is needed to kind of compete on an annual basis? Just because, as you kind of saw last year, teams start to circle.
Well, we're starting to, just from right here, I'm only going to be careful my involvement is. But there are some Cougs that are stepping up, and just not only Crypto Cougs, which has been a big, guy that runs that is just, he stepped up out of nowhere. I'm always grateful for that. And then the Coug Collective, there's some people, and obviously winning helps. And I've just told people that'll listen, I said, look, we're not trying to outbid Kentucky or whatever. We're not trying to get in that game. But to be at this level, stay at this level, which, like I said, Kirk and Pat have said we're going to, now that court case is settled, we want to maintain that level of how we're going to fund our programs and everything. You just need a plan. You need like, hey, what's the plan, and build it 3 years out. Like, how are we going to build this thing 3 years out so they can operate that and establish like, hey, we belong at this level. So it's. Patino, I think, was arguing for salary cap, stuff like that. Dartmouth unionized, so that could really, I don't know what that's going to do. I'm really interested to see how that all plays out now that the non-scholarship guys at Dartmouth are employees of the school. So that'll be unique. I don't know. So we're in uncharted territories. But I think, and we were screaming, the coaches knew this was coming, and I think everyone's probably 18 to 24 months behind us, like, hey, this is what's coming, and there's certain elements trying to put the genie back in the bottle, which would be nice, but I'm like, it's there's certain programs are these collectives are rolling.
How much have you maybe without getting too much into detail, I know Coach Dicker talked a lot about how mid-season there's already guys that he's hearing about that they're getting contacted. Is that something you're dealing with, our poachers already kind of poking around miles and so on?
Not necessarily, I won't name names,
Sure.
but yes. And that's like, I'll just say, an anonymous parent called me, and it's great because I'm just trying to, it's a different element, different deal, and I had to humble myself as a coach. Like, I'm not as worried about the NIL, or not, what's changed the job is not as much the NIL as it instant, the transfer and be eligible immediately, because there was a price to pay if you left. You'd have to, like, I really want to leave because I'm going to have to sit a year. Guys like basketball, but that's not the case now. So a parent reached out to me and said, hey, I've had multiple schools via, reach out, let them know, like, hey, what's he doing, and I said, sadly, they're doing their job, a little bit. It's like, you just gotta keep a pulse on it, and it's like, and players in the spring gonna have, hopefully, we've talked about, when we got a unique group, and we've talked about, hey, this is, and it's day by day, stay present, and we want them all to come back, and stay with it, but we understand what's going on out there. But it's tricky, to say the least, and but like, I'm enjoying this ride, and I think, and honestly, some of the guys that have moved on and the grass isn't always greener, and I'll use TJ as an example, and he's, like I said, everyone thought I was crazy. Like, my relationship with TJ is great. We went through everything, and a lot of that was family tugging on him. He hadn't been home in a long time, getting back east, and he knew the one thing that he was risking, and he's such a confident guy and a good player, and he's starting to come on, was being the alpha on this team and having a chance to lead the Pac-12 and scoring and kind of doing that and being captain and had such a great relationship. So that context takes, you don't know, but he's a pretty confident guy, and and I think he's starting to lead that team, or at least just, as a check the box score, he's gotten better and better. So those things are like, you got to take into account, like, we've kept getting better. Or our programs keep, as I said, there's the same number of players out there. I don't want to do the musical chairs, but we have to, we will.
I don't know if, like, you're, like, right in the middle of the season, so you don't really, I would imagine, get time to really reflect very much, but turning over turning over
The blinders are on, man. I really do. I mean, I was like, go ahead.
For sure. I was just curious, like, turning over, the majority of the roster here and being, a game back of the lead in the conference. I don't know if you ever take time to be like, hey, like, I know we're in the grind here, but this is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it's great. And you have to enjoy it and try to. And but sadly, my mind drifts to the spring, which is going to be like, well, what are we going to do? But yeah. Keep the blinders on, and I've also referred to it as someone asked me. Actually, I said, what it's like. I said, well, you ever played Texas Hold'em? I said, that's the kind of the fall is like you're getting your car, you get your spring, and then the flop comes, and you find out what you got, and that's kind of what it's like. And like I say, like Utah State, man, they hit the river, man. They 18-3 new coach, and so it's great chaos, but challenging, and it's just the time. It's just you don't have any time when the spring comes. It's a bummer.
I got a dumb one for you.
Yeah.
There is a couple photoshops of you on the internet floating around of you holding up a Costco hot dog, and I wanted to show this to you and get your thoughts on it, if that's okay.
There's not a bigger fan of the Costco hot dog, so don't you worry. In case you're wondering, if you haven't heard me say this, it's God's perfect food. So when people like give nitrates, and you ever see what's in a hot dog, I said, don't care. I'm a result guy. That's a great food. Eat it anywhere. It's a assistant coach's breakfast, often in the road in the summer, and head coaches. So I'm big. $1.50. They lure you in there. Brilliant marketing. Get in there for $1.50. It's usually our family. We'll run down there on a Sunday. We'll make the trip down to Lewiston. Where's in Clarkston? Clarkston.
That's like almost 2 hours driving.
No, it's 40 minutes.
What are you talking about?
It's 40. It's round trip. Yeah, around here, that's not much. Around here, it's not that much.
But it's worth it. It sounds.
Let me tell you, living in an urban area, it might be 6 miles ago to take the same amount of time if you're living in the Bay Area.
True.
So it's okay. It's a clean shot.